Hey there. So this video is going to be how I decide if my family is going to continue using a specific curriculum from what we're using now to the next year, or should we ditch it and try something new? Okay. So for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, I have been homeschooling for about 10 years now. My children, I have 3 boys. One is in the 9th grade, one is in the 7th grade, and one is in the 5th grade. Actually, if you want to see my boys, I will put a link to their YouTube channel around here somewhere. I know I can do it somewhere, I just don't know where it shows up. They're the Sideshow Bros, so you can actually see what they're up to. But anyway, so I homeschool them. I have been homeschooling for about a decade now. And sometimes we keep curricula and sometimes we ditch curricula, right? So every March, I usually start thinking about what has worked for our family and what doesn't work for our family, because usually in April, usually mid-April, I attend a homeschool convention. And by that time, I'd like to know what I want to buy and what I don't want to buy, because during homeschool conventions, you can get some really good sales when you purchase your curriculum. However, this year with the pandemic, we are not having my usual homeschool convention that I go to. I am going to attend a virtual one soon, but I'm still going to continue evaluating in March, right now, what is working, what isn't. So I ask myself 4 or 5 questions to help figure out, should we continue using this next year, or should we ditch it and find something new? So the first question I ask myself, and I wrote them down so I could keep it succinct for you, is, do we dread it? Do we avoid? And do we save it for last? All one, sort of the same category there, right? Meaning that when it's time to do a specific subject, do we dread opening that book? Do we avoid doing it? Do we just say, you know what, let's just do that later, and then not get to it because of some reason we don't like it? If I answer yes to that one, then I most certainly will not be looking at using that curriculum for the next year. Okay? Makes pretty simple. So that's the first question I ask myself. Do we dread it? The second thing I ask myself is it challenging? That question helps me determine level, really. Do I feel that the kids are breezing through it? Simple, like, oh my God, this is so easy, even though it's labeled to be for their grade level? Well, I may not want to choose then the next direct level. I may want to skip a level. Is it really, really so challenging that we're like, oh my God, this is just too tough, or I'm constantly having to look things up, or I don't know about that, and it's just, not challenging to the point where it's above level. Do you know what I mean? So that's the second thing I ask myself. Is this particular curriculum challenging? Okay. Third thing I ask myself is, does it offer the topic that we want for the next year? Okay. Meaning, let's say there's a particular, I'll use Bookshark because we do use Bookshark for our history. Let's say that for history, I want to do American history. That's what I want to do. Does the particular program that I like offer it at a grade level that is what my kids are going to be next year? Right? Because there have been some that I have had to skip because we wanted to do a particular topic and they just did not offer it in their age level for that topic. The fourth question I ask myself is, does it fit with our long-term plans? Does this curriculum, like if I'm working with it, is this something that's going to work on with us in the long term? And I'll explain. I'll give you an example. I wasn't planning on an example. I thought I was just going to end it here. But I'll give you an example of a curriculum that we used once. I did my questions, and we ended up by ditching. I think that'll help you see how I cycle through this. So the first question I'm going to tell you was Institute of Excellence in Writing, grammar, fix it. And I'm going to start off by just saying, as a whole, we loved it. Okay. But So I asked myself the first question: do we dread it, avoid it, or save it for later? No, we loved it. The kids wanted to do it first every day. They're like, Grandma, fix it. I was like, all right, Grandma, fix it is. We did it first every day for 2 years. All of my kids together. They liked it so much. Is it challenging? For helping me determine grade level. Was it challenging? For my youngest son, yes. For my oldest son, no. My oldest son is, sorry, I have a cuckoo clock. My oldest son is probably more advanced when it comes to language arts. So for him, it wasn't really challenging. He probably could have skipped ahead a couple of levels, but it is what it is, okay? But was it challenging for the other two kids? Yeah, I would say the grade level was just perfect. It was perfect. Does it offer the topic we want to do for next year? No. This is a big no for me. For this particular Grammar Fix It. I feel, as a whole, for my kids up until that point, so they were at the point of us stopping it, we're in the last year we did it. It was the 4th grade, the 6th grade, and the 8th grade. I wanted to switch to have their language arts include much more writing and literature and less grammar, because I felt like we have done grammar enough. And there will be new grammar points that come up that maybe they don't know, but we'll weave those in when the time comes. And does it fit with our plans long term? No, it didn't. Because my plans long term was by the time my kids hit almost middle school to middle school age, I wanted us to be more in the writing, reading comprehension part of language arts. And yes, writing does include grammar, 100%. So what I did then was try to find a curriculum that included more writing, more literature, but did also include some grammar. So I ended up by choosing for the transition from that past year to this present year is we switched to essentials in writing and essentials in literature. This allowed my 9th grader to have a firm focus on writing and literature and less on just strict grammar. My 7th grader, the same. And my 5th grader still has a very strong grammar component in the essentials in writing, but has an included, much more inclusive writing portion that I felt is what we wanted long term. Okay, so that's an example of me going through a curriculum that I just chose that just wasn't a good fit for us for the next year. What I do have is I have a spreadsheet on my laptop that has a new tab for each school year, and then I have written on it the child's name, subjects, and then what we used for each subject, so that I can always go back and look and say, oh, what did I use for Charles when he was going into the 6th grade? Because Alex is going to go into the 6th grade next. And I do that so I can kind of look back and forth and decide, well, that worked for him, but I don't think it'll work for him, or this worked well for his learning style, but it may not work well for another child's learning style. So in looking at my spreadsheet, I can see, what we did in the past. What do we have? Some of the curriculum I hold on to, and I say, I'm definitely going to use this in 2 years for this child, and I'll just purchase a workbook or whatever needs to be purchased. And sometimes they get ditched, and I'm like, no, I got rid of that one because that was not something that worked well with our family, and I didn't even think to keep it. So that's that. And an example of a curriculum that really has held up to our checklist would be something like Bookshark. History, we use them for history for sure. Do we dread it, avoid it, save it for last? Never. The kids love it. It is something we like to do history either right before or right after lunch. And we move to the couch, and the kids really enjoy it. Is it challenging? And this helps me determine grade level. Is it level appropriate for the kids? So what I do, since I do have 3 different grade levels that I'm working with, I'd like to keep us all on the same like era of history when we're learning. So I do feel that Bookshark is probably best for my middle child, a little challenging for my youngest, and not quite challenging enough for the oldest, so I add some extra things for my oldest, and it works out well. Does it offer a topic that we want to do next year? And it does in this case. So this year we're doing World History 1, so from the beginning of time until about 1600. And then next year we'll be doing World History 2, from about 1600 to the modern era. Does Bookshark have one, offer a series that will fit in with our age group? For this time period, they do, so we're gonna stick with it, adding a little extra for my oldest son, who'll be a 10th grader, and subtracting a little of it from my younger one, okay? So that's how I do that. And then, does it fit with our plans long term? And it does. Bookshark World History 2 will fit in with my kind of projection of where I see us doing history through, like, the history cycle with my kids. So that's that. So that is how I look at and evaluate what we're doing and determine what we're going to continue with next year. And I usually do this every March. So, and I will also ask the kids too, what do you like? What do you not like? So that'll be my bonus question. We'll put that as like number 5 is the bonus. The kids' point of view. Sometimes they're going to whine about something. And I might say, yeah, but you know what? It really did work for you because I know your learning style. And sometimes they surprise me. For instance, my oldest son, he struggles a bit with math, but he likes Saxon. Even though he struggles with it. I said, and I offer him, would you like to switch to try something else? My suggestion was going to be, and has been to him every year, teaching textbooks. What's the other one? Matthew C. And just a little bit more visual, a little more, but he's like, nope, I'm going to stick with Saxon. So that's fine. So that's great. That's what you'll do. You want to stick with it. That's fine with me. So I do ask them also their input. So that's basically in a nutshell how I do it. So this is a good time of year. I find that this kind of end of winter time period to be a good one to just look at what you have, look what you've completed, evaluate how it's going in your house, ask yourself some of these questions are your own questions. Remember, do we dread it? Like, are we avoiding it? Like, do you never open it? Do we always try to do something else instead? Is it challenging enough? Does it offer the topic that we even want to do next year? And will it fit into our long-term plans for the long haul? And our 5th bonus, how do the kids feel about it? Do they like it? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, share, and put in the comment section, like, what if there's any certain criteria that you use when evaluating what you should be doing for the next year. Till next time.